Take a look amazing at the Haftorah today. It never fails that the Haftorah always speaks about current events. So in Reish Ayin Chet, it's the Haftorah's VaYigash, the book of Ezekiel, 37. It never fails that it speaks to current events. Let's take a look, and I'll translate, okay? I'll translate. We'll learn a little Hebrew. Okay? V'davar Hashem elai lemor. The word of God came to me saying. You have that? Yecheskel. Beginning, Yecheskel 37. Now, what's the connection between the Haftorah and the Parshat? In the Parsha, what is the theme, Avi? Reunification. Yeah. Right? The brothers reunited after 22 years of being apart. And the Haftorah also speaks about at the end of days when the Jewish people, Yochanan, are once again reunited. Reunited, and it feels so good. Okay. Now, if you take a look at the Haftorah, Ezekiel, he lived about 2,400 years ago. He prophesied in Babylon. He wasn't there to see the Churban, unlike Yirmiyahu, who was there to see the Churban. So Hashem tells him, you know when this prophecy took place? It took place right before the Churban. The Jews were in exile. And this prophecy follows the prophecy of the dry bones. In the book of Yecheskel, Yecheskel 37, is, before that we read the prophecy of the dry bones, where Hashem speaks to those Jews who went through the Churban, revive them, to bring them back to Eretz Yisrael. We are the dry bones. 3 years after the Holocaust, weren't we dried up bones, and Hashem brought us back? So Yecheskel was not just prophesying about those times, but also, of course, for today. But let's take a look and see how it ties into current events. V'davar Hashem elai lemor, the word of God came to me and said, Ata ben Adam kach lecha eitz echad, take one piece of wood, write on it Yehuda and Yisrael, and another piece of wood, write Ephraim b'chol beis Yisrael. After Shlomo HaMelech died, Avi, what happened? The kingdom split, right? Between what? Ephraim and Yehuda. Who's Ephraim? The 10 tribes are called Ephraim, not after me, but the first king of the 10 tribes and the powerful tribe was from Shevet Ephraim. So therefore, Ephraim, he gave his name to the Aseres HaShvatim. So there was a split. So here, God is prophesying, telling Yecheskel that at the end of time, the Jewish people will once again come together. The Jewish people will once again reunite, and this is symbolized by the 2 pieces of wood becoming one. And if you skip down a little bit in the Haftorah, in Pasuk Chaf Aleph, see that Pasuk Chaf Aleph? V'daber eleim koyam Hashem Elokim, thus says the Lord God, Hine, wow, ani lokeach et bnei Yisrael mibein hagoyim. I'm going to take the Jewish people from among the Goyim, even those in Teaneck and Lakewood and Borough Park, Hashahol Chusham, V'kibatzti oisam misaviv, v'veiti oisam elad masam. I will gather them and I will bring them back to what? To their land. Okay? Look at Pasuk Chav Bet. You see that, Abraham? Chav Bet? V'siti otam l'goy echad ba'aretz. I will make them one nation in the land, Bahara Yisrael, in the mountains of Israel. Umelech echad yeh l'kulam l'melech. There'll be one king. You would have that?
Yes.
One king over all of them. No longer will there be a kingdom of Yehuda and a kingdom of Ephraim. And they will never again be divided into 2 separate kingdoms. Just like in the Parsha, Miki, Yehuda and Yosef, what? Reunited. So at the end of time, Yehuda and Ephraim, the son of Yosef, the 2 tribes, the 10 tribes will what? Also what? Reunite and become one. So you see, Avram, how the Haftorah, the similar theme of the Parsha, Yehuda and Ephraim, Yehuda and Yosef, the two antagonists, they reunite in the Parsha, and at the end of time, God promises that will happen again. There won't be any more kina, sina that we suffered for thousands of years. Okay? Now look at Pasuk Chav Dalet. See Pasuk Chav Dalet? Incredible. Va'avdi David melech aleim. And my servant David will be king over them. You have that, Yechiel. V'roa echad yeh l'kulam. They will only have one shepherd. No longer two separate kings of Ephraim and Yehuda. Va'avdi David melech aleim. Pasuk Chav Dalet. My servant David will be king over them. V'roa echad yeh l'kulam. They will only have one shepherd. And the Jews will observe the Torah. Now what about current events? Fasten your seatbelts, Alfie, for this one. In Pasuk Chav Hey, the Navi responds to John Balkari and the UN. Incredible. Can't make this stuff up. Pasuk Chav Hey.
Which page?
Still on the same level.
Yecheskel Lamed Zayin, Pasuk Chav Hey. Yecheskel Lamed Zayin, Pasuk Chav Hey. Now, we've been slandered and attacked by the UN and the Tumaskeri that we are occupiers and we stole the land from our peace partners. What does God respond? 2,400 years ago, through the centuries, look at Pasuk Chav Hey, incredible, without a Bible code. V'yashvu al aretz, and they will dwell on the land or return to the land. We're not occupying anybody's land, Yechiel. V'yashvu means to dwell. It also means to what? Return, to sender. V'yashvu al aretz, they will return to the land asher nasati, that I have given to whom? La'avdi liYakov, to my servant Yaakov, asher yoshva bo avoteichem. Hey, Mr. Kerry, Mr. Tumas Kerry and the UN, we're not occupying everybody's land. Yoshvu avoteichem. We are just living in the land that what? That our fathers lived there. V'yoshvu eleo heima u'bneihem, and they will dwell there and return there. The word shuvu, Yehuda, means to return and dwell. The Yoshvelo Hema Ubeneihem Ubenei Beneihem. Sarah, you see this? Incredible. And they will return and live there. They Ubenei, their children and children ad olam. Ad olam. The David Avdi Nasi Lahem Laolam. And my servant David will be prince over them forever. Now it's amazing, Elisheva, that the word Laolam is repeated here 5 times in 4 verses. Yehuda, you want to count with me? It's just amazing. The word La'olam is repeated 5 times. 5 times in 4, in case you don't get the message, UN. Here is Aviva. 5 times, let's count. You know that?
Starting from
Pasuk Chav Hey, right? The David Avdi Nasi Lahem La'olam. You counting, Sarah? Pasuk Chavav, v'karati lahem brit shalom, brit olam, an everlasting treaty, not Oslo, a brit olam yeh otam. Unatatim, I will place them, rebeti otam, and I will multiply them. Unatati es mikdashi betocham. What's the next word? La'olam. And I will, unlike the first 2 temples that were destroyed, the final temple, Pasuk Chavav, you have it, Avram. V'natzati et migdashi b'tocham, I will place my migdash amongst them. What's the next word? La'olam. Again, forever and ever. We're here forever. Pasuk Chav Zayin, v'hoya mishkani aleihem, and my mishkan, or my shechina, right? Pasuk Chav Zayin, v'hoya mishkani aleihem. What does that mean, Yechiel? Mishkani. The word Mishkan, or the word Shechina, my dwelling will be among them. Yishalem le'lohim, v'hema yi'lilam. Pasuk Chav Ches, how does your prophecy end? V'yodu hagoyim, and the nations will know Kani Hashem, Mikadesh es Israel, Biot Migdashi B'tocham. What's the next word? La'olam. We're back forever and ever. So this is God's reply to the UN and to Kerry and Obama. We're here forever. Some people just don't get it, so he repeats the word la'olam, not once, not twice, 5 times in 4 verses. In case, Sarah, some people just don't get it. Isn't that incredible? The Haftorah, the same week that the Valkyrie gave the speech and the UN, right? So unlike the first 2 times where the temple was destroyed, the last verse in the Haftorah, V'yodu hagoyim, the nations will know Kani Hashem mikadesh et Yisrael, b'hiyot migdoshi b'tocham. Unlike the first 2 times, the 3rd temple will be what? La'olam, forever. So again, the prophecy, the reply, the Navi's reply to the UN slander campaign and the Obama administration slander campaign against what? The Jewish people. What a prophecy. What a prophecy. Right? The Jewish people will reunite and come together and will bury the hatchet. Not in each other's back. Right? Now let's take a look. This is the Haftorah that we're going to read this Shabbos. Promising a glorious future for the Jewish people despite all of our enemies. They won't make a dent. We are back for good.
Isn't this talking about Mashiach's time?
Well,
We're there.
we're there, aren't we there? All the signs are pointing in that direction, right?
We're not in the footsteps.
The sign, well, we're very, very close. The prophet is speaking about our times. Right before this, Mashad, was the prophecy of the dry bones,
Which is a holiday.
which is us.
Became alive.
The generation of the Holocaust, dried up bones, and 3 years later, the wonderful state of Israel. Right? So let's take a look a little bit at the Parsha now. Parsha Miketz. Let's take a look at Parsha's Miketz.
Kate's is last week, we're doing VaYigash.
Oh, I'm testing you, see if you're awake. VaYigash Elav Yehuda. This Parsha is VaYigash. Parsha is VaYigash. What page would that be in this new Chumash? VaYigash.
What?
Not the Haftorah. Let's take a look at the
Parsha, Reish
Parsha.
Samach Bet.
Reish what?
Reish Samach Bet.
Reish Samach Bet. Reish Samach Bet is where the Parsha begins, right? Reish Samach Bet. Right, VaYigash. See the page numbers on the bottom. On the bottom, Reish Samach Bet. VaYigash Elav Yehuda. Yehuda approached him. Right? That's Genesis 40. In these books, it's Reish Samach Bet, the page number on the bottom here. VaYigash Elav Yehuda. Yehuda approached him. Who was him, Abraham? Who did he approach? Yosef. But he thought he's Tutankhamen, right? The Sfas Emet has a beautiful explanation on this. VaYigash Elav Yehuda. VaYigash Elav, Kama Yehuda Unkala says, Ukrav Lavase. If you want to get close to him, who's the him? Hashem. Yehuda. Leah, what does Yehuda mean? Praise God. The word Yehuda means praise God. VaYigash Elav, Yechiel, Kama, Sfas Emet says, VaYigash Elav, if you want to get close to him, it's through Yehuda. It's through what? Praising God. By praising God, we get VaYigash to him. We get close to him. Now, Yechiel, God needs my praise.
That's what you need. We need.
Elisheva, beautiful. He doesn't need anything.
We need it.
I need it. To be close to God for eternity, I have to be a Yehuda, not for his sake. In order for me to be VaYigash Elof, to be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in this world and in Olam Haba, it's through Yehuda. We have to constantly praise and thank Hashem. It's for my benefit, not for his. People forget that. We're not doing God any favor. Genesis 44:18. Okay? Genesis 44:18. VaYigash. Now, the question is, why was Yehuda chosen to be the king and not Yosef? Yosef was so benevolent, so kind, didn't take revenge. Why was Yehuda chosen and not what? Yosef. Who said that?
I did.
Beautiful. Okay, Masha, you have to come up here. You stole my thunder.
What'd she say?
She said the word Yehuda has a double meaning, Leah. The word Yehuda means lahodot, which means to thank God. But the word Yehuda also means to admit. Modeh. What does modeh ani lefanecha mean? I thank God, but the word modeh in Hebrew also means to admit. Ask any old pond teacher, Yehuda. The word modeh means to thank. The word modeh, Chanoch, also means to admit. Yehuda not only thanked God, but he admitted his guilt. He confessed his sin. And therefore, the Mokam Shebala Tshuva Omed, Tzadik Gomel Yochel Amod. Yosef was a tzaddik. Yehuda sinned and he did tshuva. Al Bal Tshuva stands higher than a goody two-shoes. And therefore, Rav Soloveitchik says, therefore Yehuda was chosen to be the Melech over Yosef HaTzadik. A person that sins and does tshuva stands much higher than what? Than a person that didn't sin. So therefore Yehuda was chosen. So the word Yehuda means lahodot, to thank Hashem. It also means modeh, to admit guilt. He confessed that he was guilty of the sin of selling Yosef HaTzadik and the sin with Yehuda, with Tamar. Where do we see that he confessed? He sold Yosef as a slave. It was his idea, right? In the Parshat, he says in Genesis 44:33, let me be a slave instead of Benjamin. Remember? Genesis 44:33. So since he made Yosef into a slave, now he's doing tshuva. He says what? Now, I'll be a slave. I'll be a slave. Okay? So since he did tshuva, therefore he was chosen what? To be the Melech. Another reason why he was chosen. If you look throughout Jewish history, the Talmud makes a strange statement, Abraham. You don't appoint a Melech in Israel unless there's a kupa sharatzim around his neck. Gemara in Yuma says that. You know what a kupa sharatzim means? Skeletons in the closet. The Talmud makes a strange statement. How come Shaul HaMelech failed and David succeeded? They both sinned. So Talmud says Shaul HaMelech had no skeletons in the closet. He was too perfect. David sinned, had many skeletons in the closet, so he succeeded. Moshe Rabbeinu also had skeletons in the closet, no?
What was David's skeletons in the closet?
David sinned with Bathsheba. Didn't he sin with Bathsheba?
Before he became king.
Right? But his background, he comes from root.
They weren't sure.
Right, weren't sure whether he's even Jewish or whether he's a Moabite, right?
Okay.
Shaul HaMelech's background was perfect. David HaMelech looks like he came from root. He came from root. Moabite, a former go-go dancer, converted to Judaism. Moabites can't join the Jewish people, only the males, not the females, but there was a little bit suffix over there. Shaul had a perfect background. Moshe Rabbeinu, where does he come from, Shirley? Moshe Rabbeinu.
His father married his aunt.
Right? Amram married his daughter. Jewish law, marry a doda is Gilead Ayot. Okay, saved by the bell, Torah wasn't given yet. But still, Yehuda had this background. Problematic, he had with Tamar. So in Jewish leadership, it's dafke a person that sinned and does tshuva, he's worthy to be a leader. Because someone that's too perfect, how could he be a leader? He can't relate to the people. Someone that failed and pulled himself up by his bootstraps, he can be a role model for the people. Right? Someone that's too perfect, I can't relate to you. So it's Dafka Yehuda, who sinned and did tshuva, like David, right? They are worthy to be leaders. They're Baal tshuva. They can teach that it's okay to fail. But if you fail, don't give up. Sheva Yipol Tzaddik become. The Tzaddik falls 7 times. Why is he called a Tzaddik? Mishlei. Become, because he keeps getting up. Now, Yehuda makes a speech over here. He doesn't know he's speaking to Yosef. He thinks he's speaking to Tutankhamen in Genesis 44:27. He quotes his old father. He says, Yaakov told them, you guys know that my wife bore me 2 children. This is Yehuda repeating the story, trying to play in the sympathy of Tutankhamen, he thinks. Yaakov says, you guys know that my wife bore me 2 children. Genesis 44:27. Kishnaim yoldali ishti. Sarah, is that true? Yaakov had only 1 wife and 2 children. Last time I checked, Yaakov had 4 wives with 12 children.
13 children.
Okay, so what's he saying in Genesis 44:27? You guys know that my wife bore me 2 children. What's the message over here? Yaakov only wanted Rachel. He didn't want the others. They were forced on him, Alfie. As far as Yaakov was concerned, the Chama, who was his real wife and children? Rachel and the 2 sons. That was the cause of the hatred and the friction and the jealousy between what? The sons of Leah and the children of Rachel. That was the source of it. Yaakov played favorites. As far as he's concerned, he had 1 wife and 2 kids. They felt that, therefore they were resentful and were jealous and hated the sons of what? Of Rachel. It took them 22 years to accept and respect the will of their father, despite the fact that it upset them and caused them what? Anguish. Respect and accept the will of your father, even though you don't want that.
Yeah. Was there anything that...
1 second, please. Closure. After 22 years, accept it and move on. Past the jealousy, past the hatred, accept what you can't change. Accept what you can't change. Don't be bitter. Move on. For 22 years, they couldn't move on. It was like a bone stuck in their throat. Finally, they were able to admit, that's the way it is. I'm not going to change my father's feelings. I may as well accept it. And what, Leah? Move on.
Where did,
So they
what point
didn't
did they do
resent
that?
Benjamin?
Right here, this speech. What?
They didn't resent Benjamin?
What? They resented the sons of Rachel because they felt Kishnaim Yodeli Ishti. They felt like that. So that was the cause of the resentment. Finally, they were able to accept that that's the way it is. We're not going to change Papa's feelings. Right? It doesn't help me to continue to be jealous and upset. Move on. Finally, here in this speech, Yehuda is the melech of the brothers. So Hanochi finally swallows the bitter pill by making this speech. Now he's able to what? To move on.
Where's the speech?
Genesis 44, Pasuk 33, right? The beginning of the Parshat.
44.
Yeah. Bereshis Mem Dalet. You look it up when you get home because it takes too long to turn the pages. Right? Bereshis Mem Dalet, Posek Lamed Gimel. Posek Lamed Gimel. Bereshis Mem Dalet, Posek Lamed Gimel in Parshat VaYigash. Okay? So now Yosef goes out, he reveals himself to his brothers, and he says to them, in Bereshis Mem Hey, Pasuk Hey, Bereshis Mem Hey, Pasuk Hey, VaYigash, Bereshis Mem Hey, he says, now don't be depressed that you sold me here. Ata al teyatzu. Don't be depressed. Now don't be depressed and sad that you sold me. What do you mean now don't be depressed? Don't be depressed. It's all for the best. How come he has to add the word now? It's now or never. Says Rabbeinu Bechai. Now don't be upset and depressed. But there'll come a time centuries later when you guys will be reincarnated into the 10 martyrs. So the word va'ata is not superfluous. Ata with an ayin means achshav. Achshav, there's no reason to be upset and depressed. You won't be harmed now. But there come a time, so Rabbeinu Bechai, or Rabbeinu Bachya. Some say potato, some say potato. Rabbeinu Bechai, Rabbeinu Bachya. Otherwise the word now is superfluous, Yehuda. There'll come a time when you have good reason to be upset, but you'll become reincarnated into what? Into the 10 martyrs of Israel. And we see through the Parshat other hints of reincarnation. We'll get to it. But then Yosef tells them in Bereshis Mem Hey Pasuk Chet, he says, now you guys didn't send me here, but God. Right? Right? Yochanan, Genesis 45:8, Bereshis Mem Hey Chet. Now you guys didn't send me here. Who did?
God.
Don't I have free will, Elisheva? Don't I have free will? What do you mean? We have to believe in free will, Yechiel. We have no choice. Should I say that again? We have to believe in free will. We have no choice. Get it? No choice to believe in free will. So what does it mean? You guys kidnapped me. Why are you blaming God for? Alfie, what's going on over here? What's going on? He's trying to make them feel better. You guys didn't send me here, but God did. So I have no free will? Hakol b'dei shemayim chutz miyirat shemayim. So what's pshat? Pshat is I have free will, but my free will can only affect me. No one can harm a hair on your head unless the big boss ordained it and allowed it. My free will can only affect me to do the right thing. If I harm somebody, I can't blame God. That person's supposed to get the harm. But God has many UPS drivers. Doesn't have to be me. I don't have to be the UPS driver to deliver harm to somebody. I have free will to be a good guy. So my free will can only affect me to do right or wrong. The other person, he's supposed to get that harm, but it doesn't have to be through me. If I do it, I'm responsible and accountable. So that's how my free will and God's free will. No one can harm a hair of your head unless God ordains it. But if I do it, I'm responsible. God has many agents. Yes, Shirley?
Well, that's why we have Yom Kippur, no?
We have Yom Kippur, so. But the person that you're wrong has to forgive you, right?
But you have to admit you did wrong.
Well, of course. Otherwise, there's no tshuva. The word, the ikar of tshuva is what? Vidui, from the word Yehuda, modeh. Avram in Hebrew, modeh means to thank, and modeh also means, Alfie, to admit. How come it's the same word? Yehuda's the first to admit his guilt. Because when you admit, when you thank somebody, you admit that I couldn't have done it without you. It's very hard to thank somebody. Because when you thank someone, you admit that you need that person. It's difficult to feel indebted. So when we thank Hashem, we admit that without Him, we're nothing. Right? So this is the idea over here. This is the idea over here of what he says, you guys didn't send me, God did. So if the brothers wouldn't have kidnapped somebody, it's against the Torah. God wanted Yosef to wind up in Egypt because he had to get the ball rolling. The Golos had to begin, and he saved the Middle East from starvation. Yosef had to wind up in Egypt, Alfie. But the brothers didn't have to kidnap him and sell him.
That's right.
So they're guilty of sin. Yosef has to wind up in Egypt. He could have joined the circus. Circus goes, Ringling Brothers, they go, you guys sold him, you're going to be punished. Not now, then later. 10 martyrs.
I haven't seen the Ringling Brothers here in Israel.
Right? Yosef had to wind up in Egypt. The Golos Mitzrayim had to begin. He had to save the Middle East from starvation. But there are many ways he could have gone to Egypt. The brothers kidnapped him and sold him. They're responsible and guilty. When Cain killed Hevel, you know what he said? Hashomer ochi anochi. What did he say? It's nobody can move a muscle without you. God, you run the world. If you wanted Hevel alive, he would have been alive. Right, God? Nothing happens without you. It's not my job to guard Hevel. It's your job. I was just carrying out your will. That's what Hevel said. So what's the answer? God says, yes, I wanted Hevel dead. But he could have died in a skiing accident. People do. You killed him, you're a murderer. And you'll be punished. Don't mix in my business, says God, right? You have to do the right thing. Don't mix in my cheshbonot. Harbe shluchim l'makom. God has many shluchim, and we have to do the right thing. Now, so I gave you one hint of reincarnation here in the Parsha. He says, now don't be depressed. Now don't be upset. The word now is superfluous, but it's not Yechiel. There'll come a time when you guys will have to be depressed. There's another strong hint of reincarnation here in the Parsha. In Bereshis Memvav, in Genesis 46. Bereshis Memvav, Genesis 46. Here it gives a list of all the Yidden that came down with the Mishpucha when they came down from Pisgat Zev to Cairo with the wagons. It lists the names of Yaakov's children, right? And his grandchildren. Genesis 46, Pasuk 12. Bereshis Memvav, Pasuk Yud Bet. It lists the Bnei Yehuda.
Page Reishayin.
Page Reishayin, thank you. Perik Memvav, Pasuk Yud Bet. Yubet. Ubnei Yehuda. It lists the sons of Yehuda. Er va'onan. Yeah, that's Er. Shelah u'peretz v'zorach. Vayomas Er va'onan. Now, Rashi asked the question, what happened to the 12 female daughters that he had? Each son was born with a female twin. How come they're not on the list? Chanoch, did we forget somebody? Says Rashi, all of Yaakov's female daughters died except Dinah. Yaakov buried 11. Did you know this, Shirley?
Yosef didn't have a twin, or did he?
Every brother was born with a twin. Whoa. Rashi wonders, didn't we forget somebody? How come the 11 the girls, the twins, who were born with the brothers, how come they're not on the list? So Rashi says they all died. Yaakov lost 11 daughters. So therefore they're not on the list. Who is on the list? Only the living, right? Dinah's on the list, right? Because she was alive, and the brothers and the grandchildren. No dead people are on the list. We're only listing those people that went down to Mitzrayim. So the question is, what?
Who's Dina's twin then?
The boy. Boy was born with a twin, right? Each boy was born with a twin, right? Each boy was born with a twin. They're not on the list, says Rashi. Quoting the Midrash, they all died. So we only mentioned those people that went down. So the question is, in Bereshis 46, Pasuk Yud Bet, it says, B'nei Yehuda er va'onan, v'sheil of a peretz, v'zorach, v'yomas er va'onan, Eretz Canaan. Er va'onan died in the land of Canaan. So they're long dead. Why mention them? We only mentioning the 70 souls that what? They were alive and well and came down to Cairo from Rechavia, right? Why mention Er va'onan? They had died a long time ago. So the Zohar says something amazing. Read the verse, Genesis 46:12. Ubenei Yehuda Er va'onan, v'shel peretz hazarach, v'yomas Er va'onan. Er va'onan died in the land of Canaan, v'yiyu, and they became the B'nai Peretz. Vayu, they became the B'nai Peretz. Or they were the B'nai Peretz. Er va'onan died, but they're listed because they came down in a different bodysuit. If you read the Hebrew, in Perik Memvav,
the third line at the end of the line.
The third line on what page in the Hebrew?
Reish Ayin.
Reish Ayin, the third line. See that? Pasuk Yud Bet. B'nei Yehuda er va'onan v'sheila v'peretz v'zorach v'yomas er va'onan. Er va'onan died. So Yechiel, why are they mentioned? No other dead children are mentioned, only the living. The Zohar says because they died by you, but they became the B'nai Peretz. They became recycled as the sons of Peretz, Chetzron, V'chomel. So they're mentioned, even though they didn't come down as Er va'onan, they came down as the B'nai Peretz, Chetzron, V'chomel. This is a strong hint of reincarnation. Otherwise, there's no reason to mention them. No other dead people are mentioned. Right? Only those 70 souls that came down with Yaakov.
So these were two of the 70.
But these were two of the 70 because Er va'onan became, literally the Hebrew says that here. Vayomas Er va'onan, vayiyu, and they became the B'nai Peretz, Chetzron v'chomel, and therefore they're mentioned. So this is another strong hint of what? Of reincarnation here in the Parshat. Another strong hint of what? Of reincarnation in the Parshat. Now, Yaakov lays eyes on Yosef after 20 years. 22 years, thank you. Right? 22 years. Genesis 46, Pasuk Gimel. Perik Memvav, Pasuk Gimel. Got that? Perik Memvav, Pasuk Gimel. Genesis 46:3. God says to him, I am the God of your father. Don't be afraid to go down to Egypt. Now, if God says, Yechiel, don't be afraid, Rashi says he was what? Afraid. Why was he afraid? Says Rashi something incredible. Lefi shehoyim meitzar al sheniskak letzeis l'chutz la'aretz. He hadn't seen his most beloved son in 22 years. He should be happy. He's going to be reunited with his beloved son. But he was afraid and upset that he's forced to leave Pisgat Zev. Rechavia. Yaakov loved Israel so much, says Rashi, that he was afraid and upset that he has to leave Eretz Yisrael. He has to leave Eretz Yisrael. He lived in Hebron. Right?
He got up from Beersheba.
Right?
Next verse says he rose from Beersheba.
Right. He went to Beersheba to sacrifice, but he actually lived in Hebron. But the very fact that he has to leave Eretz Yisrael, even though it means seeing what? His beloved son, upset him, and he was afraid. He was forced to leave Chutz La'aretz. to leave Eretz Yisrael,
Go to
go to Chutz La'aretz. That's how much Yaakov loved Israel. First Zionist.
Yep.
So God had to reassure him it's going to be okay. God tells him in Pasuk 4, Avram, Genesis 46:4, I will go down with you to Mitzrayim, and I will bring you up. How will I bring you up? He died in Mitzrayim. I mean, your body will be brought up. Your body will be brought up. And the end of the verse says, Yosef will put his hand on your eyes. You see that? Right? Genesis 46:4, I will go down with you, said God. From here we'll learn wherever the Jews are in Galut, who goes with us? God comes along. God says, I'll go down with you, and I will bring you up, meaning your body will be brought up, and Yosef will put his hand on your eyes. What does that mean? Says the Ibn Ezra, what, Elisheva? It's a great comfort for a parent when he dies for the child to close his eyes after death. It's a great comfort for the soul. So God reassures them that your favorite son will close your eyes after death. That's a pleasure for the neshama. It's a pleasure for the neshama. So he's reassuring him over here. He's reassuring him. In the verse before that, in Genesis 46:2, God says to him in visions of the night, he says, Yaakov, Yaakov. Why does God repeat his name? In Genesis 46:2, Perik Mem Vav Bet, Vayomer Elohim liYisrael b'marat halayla, Vayomer Yaakov, Yaakov. Why twice? Beautiful, Sarah. So Rashi said, Loshen Chiba. Rashi said, Loshen Chiba. When you love somebody, you repeat his name, no?
It's not that he's hard of hearing.
Loshen Chiba. What'd you say?
It's not that he's hard of
What'd you
hearing.
say? So Sarah mechaven to Rashi. But if you have Rashi, you wouldn't need me. You don't want me to be unemployed. So I'll give you another meaning. The Ari HaKadosh's meaning. Why it's repeated Yaakov, Yaakov. The Ari HaKadosh explains that every soul that comes down, Shirley, every soul has a unique tafkid to fulfill. Chanoch, no one can do it my way. Every neshama that comes down has a unique tafkid. How do you say that in English? Mission. Mission, purpose.
Unique job.
Unique job. In Shamayim, that neshama has a target that he has to hit. The neshama comes down, there's a target waiting that he has to fulfill that mission. Most people, do they fulfill their mission?
No.
Yaakov Avinu, says the Ari, Yaakov. The earthly Yaakov fulfilled the mission that's waiting in heaven for him. He lived up to his potential. Yaakov. Live up to your potential that's waiting for you in heaven. Every person has their potential. Most people don't make it. But Yaakov is the one, therefore his name is repeated, that the earthly Yaakov fulfilled his heavenly mission. Yochanan. Each one of us is working on our mission, our tafkid. Nachon? Onwards and upwards. Who said that? Abraham. You always say that. Onwards and what? And upwards, right?
What do you usually say?
Now, Bereshis Mem Vav Pasuk Chavav. Amazing verse here. How do you analyze the text? Bereshis Mem Vav Pasuk Chavav. In the English, it's Genesis 46:26. In the year 46:26. It says, Kol ha-nefesh habo li-Yaakov mitzrayma.
At the bottom of Reish Ayin.
The bottom of Reish Ayin, thank you. Pasuk Chavav, Kol ha-nefesh, all the soul that came to Yaakov to Mitzrayim, all of them were how many? Shivim, altogether. Verse 27, it says again, Kol ha-nefesh. Now, I know Hebrew, Sarah. Nefesh means what? One. It should have said Nefoshot.
Machine.
God knows Hebrew, right? It should have said Nefoshot. How come it says Kol HaNefesh Haba Yaakov? It should have said Abraham Kol HaNefoshot. Ask any Ulpan teacher. English translates souls, right? What do they say?
Souls.
What?
Souls.
Souls? But it don't say that. Don't play with the
No,
text.
they say all the people. They don't even say souls. They say
All the people, it says Kol HaNefesh.
all the people of Jacob's house.
Every soul.
Every soul, Habol Yaakov. Then it repeats again in verse 27, Kol HaNefesh lebet Yaakov Shivim. Avram should have said Kol HaNefoshot lebet Yaakov Shivim. How come it says Nefesh, Masha? Shelley, why Nefesh? Chav Zayin. Perik Memvav, Posik Chav Zayin. Ubenei Yosef, Ashuyulav Mitzrayim, Nefesh Noyim. What's the next word, Masha? Kol HaNefesh lebet Yaakov, Haba Mitzrayim. What does he say next? Shivim. Right? So it should have said Nefoshot.
But the sentence before says Nefesh Shishim.
Shishim, 66. But he had, Yosef was there with his two sons and his wife. So altogether, there were 70, right? Actually, altogether, there were 69. Nechama, if you count, Yosef and his two sons, right? 66 and 3 is how much?
70.
No. Leah, 66 and 3 is how much? 69. So how come it says Shivim? Fasten your seatbelts. Beautiful. Sarah, cooking with gas. Who's the 70? The boss, the big boss. The big boss says, I'm going down with you. Anoichi Eredimcha. So there were 69 humans. And the creator, 70. Wherever the Jewish people go, Hashem goes with him. But the question is, Yechiel, it should have said Nefoshot, right? Ask any Ulpan teacher. How come it says Nefesh, Abraham? What's the answer? We're all piece of the rock. All Jewish souls come from Chelik Elohai Mimal. We all come from the one God. So even though there are many souls, it's written Nefesh. We're all a piece of the rock. Deuteronomy 32, God calls himself Hatzur. What does Tzur mean? The rock. So it's a gigantic rock with 1 billion pieces. But it's all one rock. So therefore, many souls, it's written in the singular, HaNefesh. Wow. Now, let's move on. In Perik Memvav, Pasuk Lamed. Perik Memvav, Pasuk Lamed. Genesis 46:3. In the Hebrew, Perik Memvav, Pasuk Lamed. Vayom Yisrael Yosef. Yisrael says to Yosef, Amuta hapam. Now I will die once. You have that, Rabbi Abraham, or you don't? Vayom Yisrael El Yosef. Amuta hapam. What did the English says what?
Why is it Yisrael instead of Yaakov?
Oh, so he said, Masha, Yaakov means the private person. Yisrael means he's speaking as the founder of Israel. He's speaking as the progenitor of Am Yisrael. Reish Ayin Bet, Posuk Lamed. Vayom Yisrael. He's speaking not just as an individual, he's speaking as the progenitor, not the janitor, the progenitor of Am Yisrael. Maybe he had a dual role. He says, Yosef, Amuta hapam. Yechiel, how does the English translate that? You don't have it? Genesis.
And Israel said to Joseph, now I can die after my having...
No, it doesn't say that in the Hebrew. It doesn't say Achshav. No, we gotta study Hebrew. Rabbi Abraham, Amuta hapam, no pa means, but he used to have, before they had the Rav card, they used to have on the bus the tickets.
Oh, yeah.
So the driver, you get on with somebody, he would say, Pam or Pamayim. He would say, Pam or Pamayim. Should I punch the ticket once or twice? See, the Eged driver learned the pasuk. Pam means what, Avi? Once. Pamayim means what?
Twice.
Twice. Eged, the driver. You remember those tickets out from the Kartish?
Yeah.
He'd say, Pam or Pamayim, Masha. Punch once or twice. So Yaakov says, now that I've seen your face, I will die once. What does that mean? How many times did a person die? Chanoch. Amuta Pam. So Rashi says, I thought I'm going to die twice in Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba, because I thought I sent you to your death. So I'll die in this world and Chas v'Sholom also in Olam Haba. Now that I see that you're alive, I didn't send you to your death, I'm comforted. I'm only going to die once. Physical death, but not spiritual death. Amuta hapam, after I've seen your face. Right? How did that song go? I've seen your face? No? And I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Huh? What do you mean I saw your face? What's it about the face? I've seen you and you're alive. Why does he have to say, I saw your face?
Everything's on your face.
What?
Everything's on your face.
Beautiful. I'm telling you, Sarah, you're ahead of me today. So the Ariel Kodesh points out, how do you say face in Hebrew? Panim. Hashena panim. Now, panim is plural. Ask any Ulpan teacher. Face is singular, but in Hebrew, to say a face, Nechama, Hashena panim. But panim is plural. Ask anybody who knows Hebrew. Why do you say faces? Hashena faces. Panim in Hebrew means face. But it's
faces then.
I don't know, but panim means faces, literally.
Everybody's got a soul.
It's plural.
Two faces.
Says the Ari. The word panim, face, is written in the plural because your face reflects the pnim. The same word, Elisheba. Panim means face, but it's the same word as pnim. Pnim means in Hebrew what? Inside.
Same letters.
Same word.
Same letters.
Same word.
Different vowels.
Your face is called panim, says the Ari, because your face reflects the pnim.
But he said
It reflects what's inside of you. Yaakov said, I saw your face. That reflects your neshama. You're still Yosef HaTzadik. Even though you're in Las Vegas, in the red light district of Cairo. But your face tells me that your pnim is still what? A tzaddik. Isn't that
I
incredible?
spoke to somebody in Las Vegas last night. The weather's nice.
Oh, yeah? So I've seen your face, your pnim, your face. Tzaddikim had looked at your face, could see the matzav of your neshama. Tzaddikim, they looked at your panim, they saw your pnim. And therefore the Chaim Vital writes that many people were ashamed to look at the Ari. They hid their face from the Ari. Because when he looked at your face, we know where you were last night. So they were ashamed to show their face. Tzaddikim look at the face, it reflects the panim, reflects the pnim of a person. Right? Who said the eyes are the window of the soul? I just did. No, but before me, someone said the eyes, Chanoch, are the window to the soul. Tzaddikim looked at your face and they could tell the matzav of your pnim. And so Yaakov said, now I'm proud of you. Now, it's just amazing. In Perik Mem Zayin, Pasuk Chet, Yehuda, Genesis 47:8. Paroi meets the father of the viceroy of Egypt. The first question he asked him is, how old are you? Is that a...
Nice thing to say.
You're speaking to the father of the viceroy of Egypt who saved Egypt from starvation. The first question you ask, Avi, how old are you? It's not nice to ask a person's age. They asked Jack Benny. He said 39.
Yes, he was alone.
He was 39?
He said, I was, I am, and I always will be.
30. What a strange question. What a strange. Reishai and Dollar is the page number. You don't think it's a bizarre question, Yechiel? First question he asked, how old are you? So what does Yaakov tell him in Pasuk Tet? In Pasuk Tet, Perik Mem Zayin Tet, Yaakov says, Yemei Shnei Migurai. Rashi says, the days of my wandering on earth was 130. Sarah, remember that song? I'm the wanderer, I'm the wanderer.
Around.
Yeah. And they got everything. Those songs are written by Jewish teenagers wrote that song. Yaakov tells him, the days of my wandering on the earth is 130. We're only wanderers here. We're just passing through. Come on. The days of my wandering and on earth is 130. Full with pain, suffering, bad things happen to me. So the Medrash says something incredible. Yaakov was supposed to live the same amount like his father, which was 180. Every word of complaint that he uttered to Paroi got deducted a year of his life. So, he was supposed to live 180. He died at 147. That's 33. 33 complaints. Therefore, God deducted 33 years of his life. But if you look at Pasuk Tet, there's only 25 words there. Yochanan, I got a problem here. Math was never my strong side, but still.
Another eight you missed.
There's 8 words missing. He complained in Pasuk 9, Genesis 47:9, Perek Zayin Tet, he complained, and every word of complaint, God deducted a year. But there are only 25 words in the complaint. Why did God deduct an additional 8 years from his life? You know why Paroi asked that strange question, how old are you? He never saw a person look so ausgemitchet. How do you say that in English? Worn out, haggard. He looked like the 2,000-year-old man. Yiddish Chanoch. What prompted the bizarre question of Paroi, Yaakov looked like death warmed over. He never saw someone so, how do you say ausgemitchet in English? Worn out, haggard looking. You could still be walking the earth. There are 8 words in that pasuk, Chanoch. How much is 25 and 8? 33. That's how many years were deducted from his life. Why is Yaakov responsible for what Paroi said?
Yaakov's responsible for why he looked that way.
I'll tell you, you guys are ahead of me today, Abraham and Sarah.
What? What?
You know what Abraham said? Should I say what he said?
Yeah.
Yaakov Avinu, don't you know whatever God does, Hakol Tova? Why do you allow the tsaris to affect you so much to prompt such a bizarre question? Yeah. Whatever God does is for the best, even though we don't understand it. So you have to control your anguish. Why did you allow tragedies in life to make you look like death warmed over? That would prompt such a strange question from whom? For that is responsible. You know what Abraham said? A Jew has to know. Of course, Leilani, when the bad times happen, but you have to know that Hakol Tovah, even though we can't understand it, whatever God does is for the best. A Jew is not allowed to allow himself to look so haggard and ausgemitchet. And therefore he was held accountable for Paroi's strange question. And another 8 years were deducted from his life.
Why?
What a message.
Why 8? Why the number 8?
That's what Paroi said.
Oh, that's
Pasuk Chet. I'm a text man.
His question was 8.
His question is 8 words.
Oh, I see.
Because he never saw such a person look like,
Yeah.
how do you say in English, death warmed over?
Yeah.
Yaakov Avinu, what's the matter with you? You're a Mula B'tochen B'Hashem, you're a Navi. How could you allow tragedy to affect you so, to prompt such a bizarre question? You're also held accountable. Another 8 words that Pharaoh uttered, and therefore another 8 years were deducted from what? From his life. What a powerful message. What a powerful message, right? Sunday is a fast day. It's going to go very fast. We have a double header. We have a 2 shiur in honor of the fast. One is called shaming in public, a sin to die for. And the second one is called Kaddish, do the dead inherit the living? Not a typo.
Whoa.
How the dead inherit the living. That Sunday, a double header. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.